For as long as I could remember, my older brother, Jake, and I had been inseparable. We shared a bond that most people envied two siblings who grew up in a house where love and trust were our foundation. Our parents were emotionally unavailable, so we relied on each other for support, love, and understanding. Jake was the person I always turned to when I needed to talk, the one I could count on to be my partner in mischief, and the one who understood me like no one else. At least, that's how I saw it. But everything changed one evening. It started with a simple phone call. I had just returned home after a long day at work when my girlfriend, Claire, messaged me. It was an odd message, just a couple of simple words. "We need to talk." I figured it was nothing, maybe something small. We'd been dating for 3 years, and our relationship had been solid. Or so I thought. When I arrived at her place, she was sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. As soon as I sat down, she told me something that shattered me. "I've been seeing someone else." I felt like the ground beneath me collapsed. Her words didn't fully process in my mind at first, but when they did, I was consumed with anger and confusion. I immediately asked who it was. I needed answers. Her response left me speechless. "It's Jake. My brother, the person I trusted more than anyone else in this world, had been having an affair with my girlfriend." I was in complete shock. I had never suspected anything. Jake was the one who often spoke about how important Claire was to me. He was the one who always supported our relationship, giving me advice and encouragement. And yet, he had been hiding a secret that was now breaking me apart from the inside. I confronted him the next day, barely able to speak without trembling. The betrayal I felt in my chest was unlike anything I had ever experienced. It wasn't just about the affair, though, that was enough to leave me devastated. It was the layers of emotional deceit, the hidden lives, the double standards, and the lack of respect for the trust I had placed in both of them. What hurt the most was how Jake, my older brother, someone I'd shared everything with, was capable of such a profound betrayal. Jake tried to justify himself. He claimed that it wasn't planned, that it had just happened, that he didn't know how to stop it. He even said he had fallen in love with Claire. Hearing that was like being stabbed. Claire had been my everything, and now she was someone who had broken my heart beyond repair. The aftermath of this betrayal was far more complicated than I had imagined. I couldn't just break ties with Claire or Jake easily. I loved them both in different ways. Claire was the person I had dreamed of building a life with, and Jake was the person who had been my closest ally since childhood. The emotional fallout felt like a battle within myself. Every time I saw Jake, I was reminded of the trust he had broken. Every time I saw Claire, I felt like I was betraying myself by still caring for her. I tried to understand why it happened. I wondered what was missing in their lives or in our relationships that led them down this path. It wasn't easy to accept, but what I realized over time was that this wasn't just about infidelity. It was about the unmet emotional needs that each of them had needs they didn't know how to express. Jake and Claire had been emotionally connected in a way that was painful to admit, but they both lacked the ability to communicate openly with me, with each other, or with themselves. Months passed, and the family dynamic changed irreparably. My relationship with Claire ended, and while I tried to rebuild a connection with Jake, it was never the same. The wound had festered too deep. The betrayal had stripped away the illusion of unconditional support I had once felt. It became clear to me that even those we are closest to can hurt us in ways we never saw coming. It was a betrayal that left me questioning the nature of trust, the fragility of relationships, and the complex web of emotions that can tear people apart. Now, when I look back, I still don't fully understand everything that happened that day. But I know one thing for sure: emotional attachment is both a gift and a vulnerability. The more deeply we connect with others, the more exposed we are to the possibility of hurt. Jake's betrayal wasn't just an affair, it was a shattering of the trust that defined our relationship, leaving behind an ache that still lingers even years later. Emotional attachment is one of the most powerful forces in human relationships. It's the invisible thread that binds us to the people we care about, creating a deep, often unspoken connection that shapes how we perceive and react to them. This bond can be formed with family members, friends, romantic partners, and even colleagues, and it is often rooted in shared experiences, mutual understanding, and the emotional support we provide to one another. Emotional attachment is not just about affection or love. It is about the way we rely on someone for validation, comfort, and a sense of belonging. It's a central aspect of human existence, influencing our behavior, decisions, and emotional well-being. When we become emotionally attached to someone, we open ourselves up in ways that can be difficult to articulate. This attachment often gives us a sense of security, as we trust the other person to be there for us in times of need. It's this trust that makes emotional attachment so complex, because while it can foster deep feelings of love and closeness, it also leaves us vulnerable. The more deeply we invest in someone emotionally, the more at risk we become of experiencing pain when that bond is threatened or broken. This vulnerability is often what makes betrayal so devastating, especially when it comes from someone we least expect. Emotional attachment involves a range of feelings and experiences that are sometimes hard to navigate. On the one hand, it creates an intimate connection where two people can communicate without words and understand each other's needs, desires, and fears. On the other hand, it can make us overly reliant on another person for emotional stability, which can be problematic if that person is unavailable, distant, or, in some cases, untrustworthy. The strength of emotional attachment means that we often tie our sense of self-worth to the approval or love we receive from the person to whom we are attached. This can lead to challenges when that person's actions or words contradict our expectations, as it creates cognitive dissonance and emotional conflict between the attachment and the reality of the situation. What makes emotional attachment particularly complicated is how deeply it intertwines with our sense of identity. The people we are attached to, whether family members, close friends, or romantic partners, become central to how we define ourselves. The way we view ourselves often reflects how we think others view us. Therefore, when someone betrays us, especially someone to whom we are emotionally attached, it feels like a direct attack on our sense of self. It is not merely the loss of a relationship, but the loss of a part of our identity. For example, in the case of sibling relationships, the betrayal may not only be a personal loss, but also a challenge to the shared history and memories that shape the bond. In romantic relationships, betrayal can feel like an erasure of the love and future we envisioned with that person. The impact of emotional attachment extends beyond the immediate moment of betrayal. The emotional scars left behind can influence our future relationships and our ability to trust others. This often leads to a complex mix of fear, sadness, and confusion. We may struggle with forgiveness, not only because of the actions of the other person, but because we feel betrayed by our own judgment, by the way we allowed ourselves to become so emotionally vulnerable. Emotional attachment is a paradoxical force. It makes us feel connected and secure, yet it also opens us to the risk of deep hurt. When someone we care about betrays us, it forces us to confront the question of whether we were too trusting, too dependent, or whether we failed to recognize the signs of disconnection before it was too late. Furthermore, emotional attachment can cloud our judgment, making it difficult to see the flaws or the potential for betrayal in someone we love. When we're emotionally attached, we often overlook warning signs or dismiss red flags because we don't want to believe that the person we care about could hurt us. This is particularly evident in familial bonds, where the expectation of unconditional love can make us blind to the potential for deception. The deeper the emotional attachment, the harder it is to accept that the person we trust might act in a way that challenges our worldview or causes us immense pain. Emotional attachment, therefore, not only complicates how we relate to others, but also how we interpret their actions, leading to a complex web of feelings that is difficult to untangle once the bond is broken. Family dynamics are often complex, influenced by shared history, emotional ties, and the expectations that come with being part of a family unit. These dynamics shape how we interact with each other, form relationships, and respond to conflicts. When betrayal occurs within a family, it introduces a layer of complication that extends far beyond the immediate hurt of the individuals involved. A betrayal, especially from a family member, can shake the very foundation of how we perceive not just that person, but also our entire family unit. The challenge of navigating family dynamics in the aftermath of betrayal is a delicate balance between confronting the hurt and attempting to preserve the relationships that have been built over years, if not decades. One of the most difficult aspects of betrayal within a family is the weight of the shared history. Family members often grow up together, experiencing the same formative years, milestones, and challenges. These shared experiences create a deep emotional connection, one that can feel irreplaceable. When someone within the family betrays that bond, it can feel as if a foundational piece of the person's identity is ripped away. This is particularly true in sibling relationships, where the emotional attachment is intertwined with childhood memories and the belief that you have a unique, unbreakable connection. For instance, when a sibling betrays you, it feels not just like a personal violation, but a disruption to the entire narrative of your life. The person you grew up with, the one who is supposed to have your back, is now someone you cannot trust. This creates a rupture not only between the individuals involved, but also within the family as a whole. Family members often have a role in keeping the peace and managing tensions, and when betrayal occurs, it is not only the individuals involved who are affected, but also the wider family circle. Secrets are often kept to protect others, or to maintain the family's image, and when those secrets come to light, they can cause a ripple effect, forcing everyone to confront uncomfortable truths. In a family, there is usually an unspoken expectation of loyalty and mutual support, and a betrayal forces family members to reassess these expectations. The revelation of a secret, or an affair, for example, can cause a family to fracture as each member navigates their feelings of hurt, confusion, and betrayal. What makes this even more difficult is the sense of responsibility and obligation many people feel toward their families. There is often an expectation that family members will forgive, overlook, or even excuse behaviors that would not be tolerated in other relationships. The pressure to keep the peace or maintain a united front can make it incredibly difficult to confront the betrayal honestly and openly. The fear of disrupting family unity often leads people to bury their emotions or suppress the truth. In families where loyalty and secrecy are prioritized over honesty, individuals may feel trapped, unsure of whether it is safe to express their pain or anger. This creates a toxic environment where individuals internalize their feelings, often leading to emotional isolation and resentment. For example, in cases where a family member is caught having an affair or engaging in deceit, the person who has been betrayed may feel torn between exposing the truth and protecting the family from the consequences of that truth. The stakes are higher in family betrayals because they carry the weight of potentially causing irreparable damage to relationships that may have been built over a lifetime. It's not just the personal sense of betrayal that needs to be dealt with, but also the larger question of how to navigate the tension between maintaining family cohesion and honoring personal integrity. Another layer of difficulty in navigating family dynamics after betrayal is the potential for divided loyalties. Family members may have different perspectives on the situation, leading to conflicting opinions about how to handle the betrayal. Some may choose to take sides, either supporting the person who committed the betrayal or aligning with the one who has been hurt. This division can create a toxic environment where family members are forced to pick sides, further deepening the emotional rift. Even when the betrayal involves something like infidelity or deceit, where the wrongdoer's actions are clear, family members may still be reluctant to fully take the side of the person who has been hurt, often due to the complexities of family loyalty and the desire to maintain peace. Secrets, too, play a significant role in complicating family dynamics during betrayal. The secret itself may be a source of guilt for the person who has betrayed the trust, but it also places an additional burden on the person who has been hurt. Often, the secrecy surrounding the betrayal creates a sense of isolation for the person who is betrayed, as they may feel that others are either complicit or too afraid to confront the issue head-on. When secrets are uncovered, they force family members to come to terms with the fact that the relationships they thought were secure were, in some ways, built on illusions or falsehoods. This exposure of hidden truths adds another layer of emotional complexity, as family members must navigate not only their own emotions, but also the fear of how these truths will impact the family moving forward. Ultimately, the challenge of navigating family dynamics after betrayal is a balancing act between healing from personal hurt and managing the broader implications for the family as a whole. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths, addressing long-standing issues, and rebuilding trust tasks that are often easier said than done when emotions are high and loyalties are torn. Betrayal within a family forces everyone to ask difficult questions about what it means to be loyal, to forgive, and to protect the bonds that hold a family together. The journey toward healing may take years, and it may never look the same as it did before the betrayal occurred, but the effort to navigate this complex emotional terrain is what determines whether relationships can ultimately be rebuilt or whether the family will remain fractured.